In this episode, I'm going to be talking about why honesty is the best policy in a 9 to 5. So, with your work, if you don't get it, don't hide it, okay? A massive part of being in a 9 to 5 is just being as authentic and honest as possible with your workload, okay? If there is something that you don't get, ask questions, okay? It is very important in a work environment that if you don't understand something, to be honest about it and ask the questions right away, okay? The reason being is because while hiding information and lying, it is incredibly frustrating for your hiring managers, for your bosses, and everybody else in your team. Okay, so let's give a example. All right, let's say you are given a task, and what they may perceive the task as easy to understand or something that they would just kind of see as a given that you would get. Imagine you don't get it. Okay, you don't understand the task, you don't understand exactly what they're saying. All right, but they ask you, do you get it? And you go, yeah, yes, I do. Okay. Problem is now they walk away thinking that you've got it. They walk away now thinking, yep, I can trust this person. He's going to do a good job. What happens? You don't know what to do. You were too scared to ask. You weren't authentic. You weren't honest. You would rather put up a front and pretend that you know what you're doing than actually just take that humble pie and ask the question. Okay? So what happens now? Your boss now feels secure in you, but you now go and do the job and you do it to a pretty poor standard. Okay? So the output isn't great. Okay? And there's two parts here that annoys you. One, you become annoyed at yourself because you've now given a bad output. You've maybe let someone down in the team. You may have messed up a workflows, disrupted the operational system. And secondly, you're angry at yourself because now you knew you had the opportunity to ask, but you chose not to. Okay? This ability is something that needs to be changed as soon as possible, and this mindset needs to be changed as soon as possible. Okay? The biggest thing I can say when in a 9 to 5 is that you need to be authentic and honest with your workload and what you're doing every single day, because at the end of the day, hiding and lying about information, it's only going to come back to bite you. Okay, what I find is that when people lie or when people tell stretches of the truth, from that point on they go into actor mode, because everything they say needs to be extremely calculated and ensure that it aligns with what they've already said they've done. Okay, once this happens, you really do increase your opportunities to slip up down the track. Okay, once you have this and you create those opportunities where you are more likely now to slip up down the track, eventually it's going to come out. Okay, we're humans. Even when we lie, and it's the widest lie that we tell to our parents or to a teacher in school, whatever it is, it will always come undone. Okay, and the way that you look, the way that you come across when you're telling these lies, they get picked up on very quickly. Okay, so we're going to ensure from now on we're not going to be stretching the truth in any aspect. Okay, if we don't understand something, we just say it. If we didn't do something, we just say it. Okay, if we objectively did the wrong thing, we just say it. Okay, people think by lying and hiding information that you save yourself. Okay, you may save yourself for that little 10 to 30-second window with the initial confrontation, but the truth will always come back to bite you, and you don't want to now be known as a liar. Okay, that's the second part. Okay, so hiding and lying about information is one thing. Okay, you may stop yourself from getting in an argument or a heated dispute right there and then. Okay, but by withholding information and becoming now known as somebody who has that tendency, that is going to stick with you forever that you're in that company. Okay, your leaders, your bosses, they're going to know that everything that you do now, they're going to look at you that little bit differently because you've lied in the past. Okay, you lie to save yourself, you lie to save others, you lie to maybe throw others under the bus. It's not good. Okay, and it's an association that people are going to have with you for the rest of your career if you continue in that trajectory. Okay, so it's very, very important when it comes to your workload, when it comes to understanding information, when it comes to your output, that you are as authentic and honest as possible. One, so you're able to actually do the best work possible. Two, you're able to actually learn. So if you're not getting something, to ask the question and learn. Three, You don't annoy those around you, because at the end of the day, as I always say, the most important skill that you can have in a 9 to 5 is being predictable. At the end of the day, predictability is what sells, okay? So think about how you're presenting as a predictable candidate or a predictable employee. If when we ask you if you get it, when you're doing a task, when explaining a task, you tell us yes, but then you do it wrong. And you do that repeatedly, okay? We ask you, did you do this? And you say yes, but you didn't actually. We ask if you've helped that person. You say yes, but you didn't actually. Okay? You're starting to see now where the predictability factor is disappearing. Okay? And a lot of the time, people may be watching this and thinking, yeah, no, I don't lie. I'm authentic. I'm good, blah, blah, blah. Okay? You may think that, but you would be surprised how many times you may genuinely white lie throughout your day. You know what I mean? And that is something to be extremely cautious of moving forward. It could literally just be like your boss asking you, what are you doing right now? And you tell them one thing, but you're doing another thing. That same principle could come back to bite you down the track, because again, let's say 2 days down the track, your boss says to you, hey, how'd you go with that project? Oh, yeah, it was good. And this, oh, can you show me? What do you do there? You know what I mean? You see how just everything you do, and I know this sounds like a primary school lesson to just be as honest and authentic as possible, but you would be surprised how many people don't do this and how many people get unstuck down the track. Or how many people get stuck down the track, I should say. Okay? You need to be very cautious of these behaviors. Okay? Don't be too honest though. I know this sounds a little bit counterintuitive as to what I've said before, but obviously, what I'm talking about here is with your work. If you don't get something, don't hide it. You know, if you're not understanding something, ask the questions, okay? The more that you lie, the more that you hide information, the more frustrating it gets in a work perspective, okay? Now, when it comes to not being too honest, though, okay, yes, I agree, honesty is the best policy, and I say that with a lot of things, anyways. There is an area, though, where if you do become too honest, people are going to hate you. And what I mean by too honest is not so much like, you're being given a task and you say, I just don't get it. Like, what do I do? It's more so about on a personal level, okay? Don't be too honest with people. Don't tell people your true thoughts on certain things. Don't create problems for no reason, okay? When I say honest, we've got to think practically, okay? Be honest, be vulnerable when it comes to taking on information, when it comes to completing your tasks, when it comes to the way that you present as a predictable employee, okay? Be honest, be truthful. If you don't get something, ask. If you made a mistake, be honest, own it, okay? But that doesn't mean then that in other areas of life, in a work environment, talking about social things, you may be talking about politics, you may be talking about religion, you may be talking about what you're getting up to in your social life. Don't be too honest there, okay? You need to be careful in these areas, because at the end of the day, you need to protect your own reputation. So don't say too much that could throw you in the firing line with anybody in the company, and then could then increase conflict possibilities, and then people change their perception of you, okay? So be cautious of what you give out from a out of work perspective, but when it comes to your work, make sure you're as honest and truthful as possible, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did and you would like to work with me on a one-to-one level, click the link below for a free consultation. Happy to organize a 30-minute chat. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.